Hello, this is John Doxey of the THD Oral History Project. It's November 3rd, 2024, and I'm sitting with Agostino Crotti and Anna Crotti.
That's correct.
Longtime owners of Tommaso's restaurant, 1042 Kearney Street. And I just wanted to start off by getting a little bit of your background. You were both born, I think, nearby each other in
That's
northern
correct,
Italy.
yeah.
What's the name of the town?
I was born in a town called Mazzo di Valtellina. It's a small town north of Lake Como, very close to the Swiss border. She's from another valley nearby. We are about an hour and 15 minutes apart. Of course, if you had an helicopter, you go through the mountains and it takes 3 minutes. And we met here in 1976, but I came with my family. It was the 7 of us. We emigrated together in June of 1969. And my father wanted to come since the 50s, but because of the immigration laws and the restrictions, we had to wait a long time. And finally, in 1969, we were able to come, and we started a new life.
The name of the town is Mese?
Mese for her, yes.
For
Mese.
you,
And Mazzo for
okay. And the nearest big town is? what?
Sondrio is the main province,
Okay.
and but it's not too far from Como, where the lake is, and of course, Milano is the biggest city farther south, but not too far away. That's the area. It's called Lombardy.
And you came at what age? You were 18?
I was 18 years old, yes.
I was 27 when we got married.
And did you come here with your family as
No,
well?
no, just by myself.
You did? Let me ask, what drew you to San Francisco?
Agostino.
Agostino, you knew each other already.
No, we did not. I met him here in the city.
Oh, okay. Well, you came with your family, right?
That's right.
Multi-generational, I think.
Well, actually, it was the 3 siblings, my parents, of course, and grandma too. So the 7 of us, we emigrated together. Yes.
And what was the reason to come to San Francisco instead of another American city?
The reason that, first of all, my father wanted to come, like I said, since the 50s, but he had to wait. My uncle and my aunt, they were born in Argentina, so they were able to come earlier. And then when my aunt got married to an American citizen 5 years later, she was able to call my father. But like I said, we had to wait. But his dream was to get together with his brother and his sister to reunite the family here. And so what he did, he sold his business in Italy, and then we came here finally in 1969. And like I said, we started a new life. 2 weeks after I arrived, I was the first one in the family to go to work. I ended up at Caesar's restaurant on Bay and Powell. I was a busboy there for 6 months. And that's how I got acquainted, so to say, with the restaurant business. And then I ended up at the Caffè Trieste up the street 2 blocks away from here on Vallejo and Grant, and I was there for 3 years. And during that period, I was able to make the connection with Tommaso's. That was Lucas before.
Do you have some stories from your time at Trieste?
Well, you have to realize that I was fresh from Italy, and not just from Italy. I came from the Vatican. This is my true claim of fame, so to speak. I was altar boy for Pope Paul VI from 1963 to 1969, and so you have to remember the shock of coming from a place like I was for 6 years, and then in a very short period of time, ending up at the Caffè Trieste in the early 70s.
That is a big change.
A big change.
And when you came, did you either of you speak English?
No, not at all.
I studied in Italy. I studied French, Latin, Greek, but no English. So that was the biggest problem. No language. So that's why it took me a while before I got into business, because of course if you don't have the knowledge of the language, you don't know what you're doing. But 4 years after we came in 1973, my English was good enough that I was able to take over an established place like this one.
You mentioned that you had to wait for a long time to get the permission to come. Did that have anything to do with the post-World War II period?
No, that was not. It was just the quota for Italy was few thousand people a year, and then when Pope Paul VI came to the UN in '65, he asked the government to put few extra thousand people in quota, and since we waited so long, we were able to get into the system. And then in 1967, my father received a notice from the consulate of Genoa, American consulate in Genoa, that now is in Milan, but at the time was in Genoa, that if he was still interested to come, he would be able to, if he so wanted. So what he did, he came to visit my uncle and my aunt for a couple of months in '67, and after he left, he was so enthusiastic that he made a final decision, and he said, that's what we're going to do. And so when we came in '69, he waited until the end of June because all of us were in school and he wanted to make sure that we finished the scholastic year. And because he sold his business in Italy, we were able to buy our first house 6 months after we arrived. And like I said, I started working immediately.
And how old were your siblings?
Carmen was 14, and Lydia, my older sister, was 16, and my brother was no longer with us. He was 9 years old at the time.
And they enrolled in school right away, your sisters?
Believe it or not, Carmen, I don't know how she did it, but as you know, it's very hard to get into Lowell. She got into Lowell as soon as she got here. It's unbelievable. And maybe because she was smart. She still is.
What about you, Anna? How did you? What was the process for learning English?
It was not easy.
Did you go to school?
I went to school, but I was learning Vietnamese at the time because it was full of people from Vietnam. And then I said, no more. So I learned with Agostino.
What year again was it?
1981.
81.
Yeah.
After the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
reminds me that, Agostino, you came as an 18-year-old to America when we were in the midst of the Vietnam War. Was that a concern of yours?
Definitely. There were two problems with me at that age. First, if I would have stayed in Italy, I had to, even if I was in the seminary, I had to spend 6 months for the military. That's the law. Coming here, the first thing my uncle told me, said, this is the most important thing, you have to register for the military, and I did. I was so fortunate that since I arrived late and we were going, the war in Vietnam was toward the end, they never called me, but I did everything proper. Otherwise, you'll be a deserter, and it's you are screwed for life.
And when you came, what did you find work right away, or you met him
right here
away?
in the restaurant. Yeah.
And so Tommaso's has, before it was Tommaso's, it was Lupo's.
Yes.
Started in 1935, is that correct?
I'll give you a brief history. This place is 89 years old. The Cantalupo family from Naples, they shortened their last name Cantalupo to Lupo, and they called this place Lupo's from 1935 until 1971. They were the one that, when they opened this place, they put in the first brick oven on the West Coast. The oven is still functional today after 89 years. When Alice at Chepanis opened the cafe upstairs in the early 70s, she sent the bricklayer to get the design of the oven from us, and then she gave it to Spargo in LA, so everything started here. But going back to the Lupos operated this place, they created this place, and they were here until 1971, when, just like we are doing now ourselves, they decided to retire after so many years in business, successfully. And They had a chef, a cook by the name of Tommy Chin. He was the Chinese fellow who worked in the kitchen for 25 years. What they did, they decided to give him as a present the place, but not the name. Everybody keeps the name in the family. So the Cantalupos, they gave him no choice, so to speak, and what he did, he Italianized his name Tommy into Tommaso, which is Italian for Tommy, obviously. And then when we bought the place from him 2 years later in 1973, we decided not to change the name again. That's why the place is still called Tommaso's today, sort of in the honor of the cook.
And as I understand it, Lupo's was quite a popular place. A lot of entertainers and other people maybe who were performing up the street would come.
Sure, people from the Angry Eye and also the Barbary, not the Barbaricus, but what's the name of the place?
Matador?
Yeah, the Matador. Used to come down here. Well, actually, the likes of Bob Hope and Jack Webb, Betty Davis, Julia Child, Frank Sinatra, the Marx Brothers. Back in the 30s and 40s, these famous people, they used to come to San Francisco, usually coming up from LA by train on the weekend. And Lupo's was one of their favorite hangouts.
And what was it, do you think, about Lupo's that was so appealing? I think in that era there wasn't very many. Pizza was sort of new in America, wasn't
Exactly. The reason that pizza became popular later on in the 60s and so forth is because the veterans that were in Naples during World War II, they had a taste of the pizza there, and then when they came back here to the United States, they sort of started craving this particular dish. But before that, there were very few places who served pizza, and Lupo's was definitely one of them, and one of the best.
I think people like the atmosphere too, like the famous paintings on the wall.
The Cantalupos, they sort of recreated the feelings of a Neapolitan restaurant, not just the menu, but the ambiance also. What they did, they hired a local artist in the early 30s, and they gave him postcards that they had brought from Naples with them, and the guy just painted the walls. And we have several scenes, including the Blue Grotto, and scenes of Naples and vicinities. And rumors is that they paid him with spaghetti and meatballs.
That's a good one. Okay. And when you took over from, I guess, from Tommaso, from Tommy,
Right.
Initially you rented the place, right?
Yes. Well, Mr. Chong, the landlord, yes, he was renting to us, and until 1984, when we were able to buy the building from him.
And this guy is kind of famous in his own right, isn't it? You want to tell that story?
Absolutely. Mr. Chong, Henry Chong, became famous because he opened a small place down the street in Kearney, a very small place. He had 7 tables at the time. This is interesting because a writer for the New Yorker, on a foggy, cold day in San Francisco, walked into this hole in the wall, serving Chinese food and Hunan type Chinese food that nobody knew at the time. This is early 70s, using the chili pepper and so forth. And he loved it so much that when he wrote the article, he said, best Chinese restaurant in the world. Now, because of that, Henry Chong was sort of forced to enlarge, of course, because he had lined down the street, and then hurricane picked up and he didn't give it a half a column too, so it just exploded. And he was forced to enlarge, so he came to us and he said, since I had the first right of refusal when I signed the first lease, I told him, he said, you know, the building is for sale, because he needed the money in order to buy the warehouse on Sansom Street, a big place for his restaurant. And I immediately said, of course, I'm interested, and we made the deal, and the rest is history.
And so I think when you took over, even though you're northern Italians and have a different cuisine. You decided to keep everything.
Exactly. They keep the same.
Do you think that's the secret to?
Very smart move.
Yeah.
We consulted each other, Carmen and I. Because Carmen, she was so young. She was 16 at the time when we got the place, so she couldn't get the license. She had to wait 5 years. But we all made the decisions together from the very beginning. Of course, I was involved with my parents. They were here with us, working with us and so forth. So we thought about it, and we could have gone different direction. Where we come from, it's mainly butter and cheese and different cuisine. And this is mainly tomato sauce and garlic. And so we felt that since the place was already established as a Neapolitan restaurant, the ambiance was Neapolitan, everything was Neapolitan. The cook, even though he was Asian, he was taught by the Cantalupi family the recipes from Naples. So we decided to keep it as a Neapolitan restaurant. Very, very smart move.
Did you ever introduce any Lombardy cuisine or? No?
Eventually, over the years, we added few of our own things. Cheese ravioli with pesto, for example, is not Neapolitan. The lasagna is more northern than southern in our case because that's the way we created it. And occasionally we do, actually every month we do a special, and over the years we introduced some northern Italian dishes on the specials. But eventually they came off the menu because they were special of the month only. But the soul of the menu, it's always been the same like it was from the
So I can remember as a child coming here, and it's always been a very popular place. And there was a line down the street. How many pizzas in a night would you sell?
We average for years 150 a night. But you have to remember we had the kitchen too, so we combined the two things together. Then what happened was in 1981, People magazine came out with the best 9 pizza places in the United States of America, and we came in on number 3. We were tied with Jones in New York, and that's 26 million people, and that read that, and so for 5 years we had the line down the street around the corner every night.
And you had some celebrities of your own coming here.
Absolutely. When I worked at the Caffè Trieste as a barista, Francis Coppola was writing the script of The Godfather in a smallish Olivetti typewriter in the corner, and I used to bring him cappuccino every so often, and we became good friends. He saw the way I worked, and then when he learned that we got this place, he was crossing in front of the Condor one day, and we met right in the middle of Broadway, and he said to me, I heard that you took over the old Lupo's. Do you mind if I come in and make the pizza for the kids? And I said, Francis, you are very welcome. And make a long story short, when Newsweek magazine came out with a lengthy article after The Godfather's success, they published a picture of Francis making his own pizza in front of our oven. Very good publicity. And we've been friends ever since. Actually, he was here about 2 weeks ago, after a long time.
And Herb Caen, I think, helped.
Herb Caen liked Lupus, and he liked Carmen. And he wrote about this place so many times. This I can quote because I memorized it. Today we identified a fine Norwich restaurant name for a Chinese. Right, Tommaso, formerly Lupo, still home of the best pizza in town. Owned by the Crotti family, but named in honor of the cook Tommaso Chin. Along with the splendid food, the place still retains the bohemian flavor of the 1930s. Garlicky, of course. Every time I walk in, I expect to see the late founder Frankie Cantalupo on his usual position on his knees, crying real tears as he describes the agonizing beauty of the baked clams and fried steak.
That's very good memory, too. And your sister Olivia was the executive chef?
Yes.
Yeah, Lydia, well, we had another restaurant. Actually, we opened a restaurant for her in Cayucas, San Luis Obispo County, between Cambria and Morro Bay. And she was there for 7 years. And then she decided to come back with us. and she was in the kitchen for like 30 some odd years before she retired a few years ago.
And Anna, are you now the
Not
the main
really.
chef?
I told everybody to do whatever needs to be done.
And Jerry Brown, I think, is also one of the...
Jerry Brown has been coming here since the early 80s. The first time he came in, he was brought in by Francis Coppola. They took over the place on a Monday night. It was their birthdays, which is 5 years apart. And he's been coming back ever since. Actually, I have a date with him the 6th of December because I called him and I said, hey, look, we're closing the restaurant. I mean, we sold it, and so I would like to have a supper, dinner with you and your wife one night, like a last supper, so to speak. And so I called him a couple of days ago, and he was in town, but he wasn't able to make it that night. But he said, Friday, the 6th of December, I'll be there. I'm just going to call you back and let you know the time.
That's great, yeah.
We have a wonderful relationship. He's been tremendous with us. We got a ton of publicity because of him, of course, and he's a good friend.
And you bought the building, I think, 1984, is that correct?
84, yes.
From Henry.
From Henry, right.
And this building, I think you told me, had been here and destroyed in the 06 earthquake, and then
1906 quake fell down, and what they did, they used the same bricks and they built it back up again. And then later on, at a great expense, we had it retrofitted for the earthquake. That doesn't mean that it's earthquake proof. It means it's, earthquake safe, so to speak. In case the worst happens, at least you won't fall down right away.
Well, you mentioned a minute ago that the place has sold, that you've sold. So after 51 years, you're passing the torch.
Exactly.
Who is the new owner? Are you able to say?
Absolutely. Her name is Maureen. She was the manager at Norwich Restaurant for several years. She worked at Post Rio before. And we met her about a year ago, and she showed interest in buying this place. And so we signing the lease, and she's also interested in buying the building eventually if she gets the finances together. And we feel that with the experience and the desire, she will be able to continue with our tradition. She promised us that she will keep all the employees and the same menu with few changes in the decor of whatever she likes. But basically, she's going to leave this whole place alone.
And you'll be going to Italy as you have every year for how many years?
Since we got married, 43 years.
43 years.
Yeah.
You go to your
My town, yes.
Yeah, we have a restaurant there, we have a winery there, and we have our home there.
And do you think that will you be spending more time there?
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually we're gonna.
She has desire to spend more time with her family, and me, I'm with her.
Yeah, we're gonna stay for 5 weeks this Christmas.
Yeah.
Usually we are rushed to get back to reopen the restaurant, but not this time.
And what does Carmen? By the way, I'm sorry to say Carmen couldn't join us today because she's not feeling well. But how is what is she planning to do then?
She's planning to spend more time with her grandkids and with her family. And we have nobody left in our little town because we've been away so long. It's been 54 years now, 55 actually, and so everybody's gone. But because of my wife's family, that's why we have the desire to go back and spend more time.
And you said they have a winery?
Winery and a restaurant, yes.
They also bought a convent just now directly from the Vatican, 180 rooms.
Not for the convent, from the land around it for the vineyards.
For the vineyard, but 2 rooms, one is named after my wife and one after me, because we are honored guests, I guess. And they are doing very well. The 1 Michelin star restaurant, Crotage, and they make 14 wines. Actually, the Wine Spectator a couple of years ago came out with the best 100 wines in the world, and one of the wines came in a number 84. Unbelievable.
It's terrific.
We got the Godfather tree over here, autographed by Francis Coppola. He's been hanging up for years. Here we have, this is unbelievable, Nicolas Cage, who's been a customer since he was a kid. Maybe because he saw his uncle's poster up, he says, why don't you put up one of mine? And we said, of course. Now the dilemma was which of his movies would be most appropriate for this restaurant. And he picked Moonstruck because he was a bread maker in front of an oven just like ours.
Okay.
And then we have Hemingway and Gellhorn. Hemingway and Gellhorn, it's a movie that was produced and directed by Phil Kaufman. Phil Kaufman is a personal friend of mine. He comes in here one night and he says, he looks at me straight in the face and he says, I'm looking for a bald, fat, and a little bit ugly chef. And I want you to be in the movie. And I said, absolutely. But this is what's funny. He also asked Carmen, my sister, to be in the movie as an aging whore. And she said, whore, yes, aging, no, she refused to part. Anyway, I still got my royalties. My last check was like, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, $17.
Yeah.
Something like that. But they keep on coming.
I'm going to have to see that one.
Yeah.
I'll look for the chef.
It's a short. I got two speaking roles.
Yeah. Great. Well, 51 years, it's a long time.
Yes, it is.
Do you have mixed emotions?
Yeah, a little bit of regrets. I mean,
No, I'm ready.
Not her, but me. I sort of gonna miss this place somehow. But the time has come. My son is not interested. My niece, Carmen's daughter, she's not. And both Anna and Carmen, the two people that are running this place, because I'm sort of retired already, they're tired and they're just, we made a decision that the time has come for us to turn the page.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
About 13 hours a day. It's a long day.
You remain in contact with the Cantalupo family?
Yes, there is Russo.
Robert Russo.
Robert Russo is one of the last
Grandson.
remaining. I have lunch with him once a month.
You were a waiter too for a long time, right? You said you had 4
That
tables.
was my job. I served table for 48 years. Yeah, I section. There we go. And then I got sick and I couldn't work anymore, and now I'm just home like a puppeteer, looking over things and giving suggestions, but not doing much anymore. But I did a lot for many years.
It's a good long run.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Agostino.
Oh,
Anna.
our pleasure.
Yeah. Agostino, you could maybe go back and talk a little bit about what it was like to come from your time in the Vatican in the late 60s to San Francisco.
When I do my speech for one of the tours that we do quite often, actually, called Avital, and I talk about the restaurant for a few minutes, at the end, this is my quote: from the holiest of places in the world, I ended up in the red light district of North Beach. No wonder I'm still confused.
When you say red light district, can you describe that a little bit more?
When we first started here in 1973, about 80% of the neighborhood was basically topless joints and porno shops. That's why it's called the red light district of North Beach.
Were you attracted to North Beach because of its Italian heritage?
And it was actually pure fate, because my first job was at Caesar's Italian restaurant in Bay and Powell, out of business for a few years now. Now it's a parking lot. I started as a busboy there in July of 1969. and I was there until December. And then I ended up at Cafe Sport on Green Street, where they told me that they didn't have any availability at the time, so they sent me over to the Cafe Trieste on Vallejo in Grand to ask for a job, and I was hired on the spot. They gave me a 5-minute interview, and when I told them I came from the Vatican, they felt that I was the right guy for them. And I was there for 3 years until I got involved here. And it's because of the Cafe Trieste, and now we go back to North Beach. That's why I like North Beach so much. Everything for me started in North Beach. And it's because of the old waiter Lino here that used to come out for a cappuccino and croissant every morning while I was a barista there. And he saw the way I worked behind the counter and everything, and he approached me and he said, you know, there is this place down the street that you're having some problems. Maybe you're interested, you know, you with your family. Why don't you give it a try? And make a long story short, I ended up bossing tables here for a couple of weeks until we got the finances together. And we talked to Tommy Chin, the cook. We agreed on a price, and we agreed on him staying behind and teaching us the recipe of the Cantalupo family. Because we come from the north part of Italy, so this is a different kind of cuisine. And we agreed on that, and we took over and we started, and he stayed with us until a couple of years later when he passed away. But by then, we have learned the business. He taught me how to make the pizza dough, he taught my mom how to use the oven, he taught my sister Lydia, that was the cook here for many years, the recipe of the family, and we started like that, and we kept on going until 3 weeks from now, we are retiring.
Almost from the get-go, after taking over in '73, this was a phenomenal success. And can you just maybe describe what it was like in terms of the people waiting to come in and people?
Yeah, we had immediately, especially after Hurricane started talking about us, talking about the best pizza in town, and liking Carmen. Line out the doors, and we got so many regulars that on Sunday night it was like a sacred night in this place. It was like going to church in a sense. Everybody had their own booth, their own table, and at times when somebody would take the liberty to get the wrong table at the wrong time, there would be fist fights right here in front of the restaurant at the entrance. That's how it started. And we used to get jam packs. Sometimes the line would start before we open, and after we closed, we still had people to see. And this went on for many years.
Business was really, I think, continuously good for a long time, and pandemic was really a kind of a turning point. Huh?
The only time that we suffered in any way, as far as business is concerned, is because of the pandemic. And during the pandemic, we were able to survive because of our regulars. They were keeping us going with the pick-up and delivery business. They were very generous with their gratuities and with their care and love. And even though we worked for nothing, we were able to survive and keep on going. But we did suffer like everybody else.
And you were telling me that you had a very kind of trouble-free time here. There was only, I think, one incident of someone breaking in.
Yeah, we got broken in 51 years. We got broken in one time. 3 things they took. They took a bottle of Rubicon, a Magnum that Francis Coppola gave us as a Christmas present maybe 20 years ago, that was sitting at the family table. So we were talking about, when we got broken in the one time, about 5 years ago, yeah, they took the Magnum of Rubicon. That was a $500 bottle of wine. The only problem, it was sitting on the corner of the family table up on the ledge for so many years that was probably undrinkable. They also took a framed poster of Godfather 3 autographed to me by Francis, and then few bucks from the cash register. We don't leave too much money in there, so. But that was it. They didn't take anything. Oh yeah, and a couple of the computers, the iPads for the pick up and delivery. But that's about it.
I think that's a wrap.
Okay, good.